Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Huddle, a black and gold podcast with your host, the incomparable, the main man, Pots and Pans, Mr. Gage. Ryan, how you doing, Gage?
Sensational. That's my co-host Ron Mont. How are you, pal?
I'll tell you what, man, I'd be doing a lot better if we had some better things to talk about for this team right here. Okay.
So we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna start this off, and it was. Is it safe to say that that has been? It reminded me of that Cardinals game that like
Oh,
me and Steve and whatnot we called like one of the worst of the Tomlin era. This game
yes.
felt similar to that.
I don't know, man. That one they played against Buffalo in the Mason Rudolph era. That was pretty bad too.
Oh, that
That
wait, are we talking about the Duck Hodges game?
oh yeah, the Duck Hodges game. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, the
that was
four
really bad.
interception game.
That was pretty bad too, man. That's on the list, right? That game's got to be on the list. Okay, right.
That game was like a tease because we were so close. I mean,
I
I
know,
even
right?
what was it, Al Michaels, I think, like after
Yeah,
Duck threw
yeah.
the last interception, was like so close and yet so far for the Steelers tonight. We're like,
Yes,
fair.
yes. Al Michaels on the call. Al Michaels on the call.
He's the goat. I love
He
Al.
is, dude. I don't care. Look, I've been able to experience quite a few great announcers in my day. The first one being Kurt Gowdy, and he was the guy that like when I was a kid, you turned on the TV and that's all you heard was Kurt Gowdy, right? And
Mhm.
then it was Pat Summerall and John Madden, right? And those two guys were the pinnacle, right? As far as I'm concerned, right? Because those two guys
Mhm.
just played off each other and they did it for years and years and years and years. And I love
Especially
them
John.
guys. Right. Yeah. Especially John, right? Another guy was Keith Jackson. Now, he did a lot of college football, but he was the guy that did the Whoa, Nelly, right?
Yeah.
But he's another really great one. Al Michaels, another great sportscaster type guy. You know what I mean? These are the kind of guys that, when you turn on your TV, you hear that voice, right? Frank Gifford, Howard
Mhm.
Cosell, right? All
Mhm.
the guys that did Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football. I mean, you know what I mean, right? When
Yeah.
it was cool. When Monday night was cool to watch football, right? Now they got 3 games on now, and they start at 7:30 and blah blah, whatever.
I what I love about Al in particular is like how real he is, especially in modern times and whatnot, where he just like visibly doesn't care at points. I love him talking about the referees and him just being like, flag is down, what else is new? Like all these little sarcastic moments where
He
you're like,
does.
what are
I
you?
know.
It's essentially him saying, what are you gonna do? Fire me? And it's like, no,
Yeah,
you're not
right.
firing Al. You let him
No.
do whatever he wants.
That's right. I mean, his voice is the voice that's always attached to the. Do you believe in miracles? Right. As a kid, man, 10 years old, I'm watching the Olympics and I'm hearing Al Michaels and I'm watching the United States hockey team just beat the Red Army team. Yeah, that spurred me on to hockey. Right.
Mhm.
Watching that whole thing, that spurred me on to love hockey. You know what I mean?
There
So,
you go.
but we're not talking about hockey. We're not talking about ice. We're talking about football. We're talking about this team right here.
Yeah.
And look,
Unfortunately.
I am not a person prone to cursing, and I am not a person that I try to look at the positive things in everything that I try to do and everything that I try to see. But I got to tell you, folks, this team is ass. Okay, seriously, I have never in my life seen a team that is so disinterested, has no sense of urgency in anything that they're doing. How is it that a 15 plus year major sports coach is out coached by first year coaches? How does that happen? Look, I'm giving to give props to their due. Okay, Mike Tomlin is a Hall of Fame coach. Okay, was a Hall of Fame coach. Okay, his time and his message is past. Okay. He's got 2 Super Bowl trophies. He's got just about as many
Well,
wins as Cower, right? Okay.
one trophy, 2 appearances. Yeah.
Well, he does have a Super Bowl trophy with Tampa Bay
Oh, yeah. My bad. My
because
bad.
he was the defensive coordinator,
You are
right? So
correct.
he's got 2 Super Bowls trophies to his
Mhm.
name, right? Okay.
Mhm. Correct.
He's been with the same team now for over 15 years. Okay. You went to a Super Bowl and won. You went to a Super Bowl and lost. So you got at least an appearance since you've been a head coach. You've got over 170 wins on your resume. Please take my advice, Mr. Tomlin. Hang it up. Put the cleats away. Put the headset down, right? I would say put the clipboard down, but you don't carry one. So
I have I have like a slightly, it's not like I disagree with you on this, right? But like, here's, I think, where a lot of my frustration comes from with the whole Tomlin era in general is that it's kind of been, I think I share a sentiment of large portion of the fan base where they say that it's been the same problems over and over again. And I think that it's been a withering down of our patience, if you will.
that is a perfect way to put it, Gage. Because if you look at what Mike Tomlin's done, let's just take the last 10 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The last 10 years puts us back to 2015, right? What
Mm-hmm.
was happening in 2015? 2016 was the Steelers started off super great, losing one game and almost all the way and then tank at the end. Pittsburgh hasn't done anything in the playoff era since they went to their last Super Bowl and lost. They've won one playoff game, one in the last 10 years. One. One.
Mm-hmm.
This is considered a storied franchise, right? Pittsburgh's been around since 1933. They've got the second most Super Bowls ever, right? They've got the second most number of people in the Hall of Fame. They've had three coaches, three since 1969. There is no franchise out there that can even remotely say that. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, none of them, right? This is a storied franchise, okay? And you are running it into the dirt slowly but surely. Every year, the Leaning Tower of Pisa leans a couple of centimeters, right? Every year, the Pittsburgh Steelers lean a couple of centimeters to being, irrelevant.
I've heard people call it rot. Like it's been a rot that's been getting worse through the years.
The problem is this: after watching it for this many years and seeing it firsthand, I really don't think it's the players. There have been ultra talented players on this roster. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you could continue to Willie Parker. Look, they're not Hall of Fame guys, but they were talented players that could
Mm-hmm.
have won you something. What has been the main thing that's been consistent throughout this whole thing? Mike Tomlin. The players change, players
Is the
rotate,
only one left.
retire, right? But he's been the consistent problem the whole time. His fourth down management is poor to lackluster.
I'd say the
Okay.
worst in the league.
There you go. Right.
I would argue
When
that.
it's okay. Right. And it's been like that. It's been like that. Right.
Mhm.
Clock management. How many times, how many years have we talked about Mike Tomlin's poor clock management? The fact that you have over 2 minutes left in the game, you have one timeout left, you need one score, and your offense is walking to the line, walking back to the huddle. There's no sense of urgency. in all my years, I have never seen a head coach without a clipboard, without some kind of something in his hand, walking back and forth on the sidelines. Whether it's this big piece of laminated stuff that's got plays on it, a clipboard, a folder, a Microsoft Surface, I mean, whatever,
Something.
something. Never. All I see in his possession is his hands in his pockets and him standing there on the sideline.
And there's just not a lot that there's not a lot to add to it. Like when it's the same mistakes kind of over and over again, you start to wonder where change comes. And then when change just never comes and you get the same outcome every year, eventually you start to feel like the definition of insanity a little bit.
That's exactly it. That is the definition of insanity right there. This is insane. The fact that this team still thinks they have a shot. Like, if you listen to his press conferences, right, he's still in the game. He still thinks he's in it. No, but I mean,
What do you mean?
like, he's talking like he's going to be playing ball in January.
Oh, right, right. I see. It's the
Uh,
exact opposite of Jim Mora's playoffs thing.
Playoffs, right? You know, the message that he's given the team in the press conferences is not hitting home. Okay,
We've heard
you're
about locker room issues for a couple of years now. Like this is not a new thing of like Tomlin losing the locker room. We heard about it last year. Ravens players were making notes about it and saying, "Yeah, the Steelers they have their own locker room issues. We knew that they were like going to collapse or whatever they said, right?" And like it's a thing, and nothing gets addressed. And like anybody that asks hard questions doesn't get hard answers. And Minka Fitzpatrick, when he was trying to hold Terrell Austin accountable for his role to play in all of it, he gets shipped off. They're all about good vibes and 500 seasons. It feels.
I mean, I understand why they got rid of Darius Slay because
Yeah. That's different.
that's different. Okay, but the fact that you brought him in here, you know what I mean? Like, really? Here's my other thing too: is this Pittsburgh historically has never been the franchise that's going to go out and get that marquee free agent, like when Kirk Cousins hit the market, right? And everybody was all up in like the first time he hit the market. Excuse
Yeah.
me, not the second time or third time. The first time he hit the market because they weren't going to pay him his franchise tag, and he hit the
Right.
open market. And what did he do, man? He cashed in, right? He was that big free agent guy that everybody was looking for, right? Pittsburgh's never going to chase that kind of player.
What are you talking about? They signed Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, pal.
What are we talking about? They signed DK Metcalf. Yeah. What are we talking
Uh,
about? They signed Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. What are we talking about? They signed Darius Slay. Yeah.
if this
What
team was
what are
in
we
2017, we'd be unstoppable.
How do you justify paying DK Metcalf top 5 receiver money? He doesn't even have the stats to back it up. Not
Um,
he drops 3 or 4 passes every game.
mhm.
I don't understand. Here's what I really don't understand. How is it that you've gone this entire season with wide receiver 1 being DK Metcalf and then that's it? Who else you got? Right? You got Gainwell, who's doing kind of both, catching the ball and running the ball. Right? You
Way
got
better than
Calvin,
people expected, by the way.
right? Which one of the bright spots on the team. You got
Hmm.
Calvin Austin III, who is a one-trick pony, and you're not using him. Okay, I don't understand. You paid Pat Fryermuth a gobs of money to be
And
tight
now
end
you
number one. Where
refuse
is
to
he?
use them.
Where is he? Why do I ever see him? Why doesn't he catching balls? What's going on?
17 snaps, 0 targets. Just feels intentional. And it's strange because I don't even think it's up for debate. He is the best tight end on the team, and it's just highly offensive to me personally as a Pat Fryermuth fan that he's not involved.
Look, nobody is going to be the perfect tight end, right? Not every single person can
No,
block perfectly. Not every single person can run routes and catch the ball and make plays after the catch, right? So you got to take with the good with the bad. Okay, cool.
no,
So then you bring in the Mount Washington 6'7". He can block.
no,
What? He
no.
can also catch a ball every once in a while. But it's how you're using the personnel on your team. This has been a problem for the Steelers since before Ben retired,
Yep. Personnel
right?
usage.
Personnel use, not just on offense, but on defense. Here's the perfect example of what's going on, what I'm talking about on defense. You drafted Joey Porter Jr. As far as I'm concerned, hands down, one of the best combative cornerbacks out there.
I
Right?
agree.
If you want a guy that's going to compete with your receiver, he's the guy. Throw him out there. He's going to hand fight and pick and scrap and fight for every single inch. Right?
It's got that Prince Amukamara play style.
Right. How are you using him? You're playing him 20 yards off the receiver. You're playing him in a zone cover two, right? Where he has to cover an area, not a guy. So you take one of the best man on man guys and make him play zone. I mean, that's like going to a steak restaurant, right? And asking for pizza. Do you go to a steak restaurant and ask for pizza?
It's just strange, like even down to like asking Najee Harris to go outside and having Jalen Warren run between the tackles, like just little things. You're like, why? Like this game is not, you know, uh, having the juice to get to the edge or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know. Remember when they said that? Remember a couple years ago when Tomlin said we had a couple things up our sleeves schematically, and it was like a what was it? It was like a fullback like dive with weird motion before the snap, and we're like, yep, that'll win this playoff game.
Boy, that'll really shock them. Holy
Yeah, yeah.
moly. Look, I'm really trying not to be the negative Nelly here. I'm really trying to not be the one that's, the Debbie Downer here on all this stuff. But
Well,
at
everybody in
some
Steeler
point,
media has been doing it.
there's gotta be some accountability. At some point, there has to be an answer to these questions. And if you're not willing to give me the answers, then get somebody in there who's gonna.
I agree.
It's been really hard, Gage. Tell me. We even went to a game,
Yeah.
right? And the atmosphere at that game was unlike any other game that I've ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I've been to quite a few. And this atmosphere at this game was like, man, it just feels like waiting for the end to come,
Yeah.
right? Like you're just waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Waiting for it feels like a screw it atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
When your fan base is booing Renegade.
That is so funny to me. They tried to drown, like I really want that, like just let this has to be said that there was a pocket of the fan base that was chanting fire Tomlin, and it was a little louder than normal, or at least a lot louder than normal. They tried to drown out the fan base's chants with Renegade. And for one, I love that the fan base A recognized that immediately and B did not tolerate that in the slightest and like booed it, shouted it down, and then the Fire Tomlin chants got even louder. It's like good, good. They tried to they tried to censor your voice, and I very much appreciate that that our home team did not, our home fans did not let that slide.
It it makes me sad. It makes me sad to see one of the greatest franchises in all sports going down this path. it makes me sad to see that ownership has not stepped up like it has in the past many, many times. Look, the Steelers were a team where if you had issues off the field and you were in trouble with the law and all that kind of stuff, Pittsburgh wasn't having you, right? I mean, this was the kind of team where you could come and it was family oriented and look, I'm not trying to say that uh, uh, you know they're not the Dallas Cowboys of the '90s. You know
No.
what I mean? Like
Or
the
today, for that matter.
or today for them, you know what I mean? But you get what I'm trying to say here, right?
Hmm.
They tried to bring in character guys that were gonna help mold and create the culture here in Pittsburgh, and they did that for a number of years, right? And it seems like they're trying to bring those kind of guys in, but they're not. It seems like they're trying to bring in leadership guys, but they're not. You're bringing in ultra talented, but major issues, Antonio Brown. You're bringing in ultra talented players, but have major issues off the field. George Pickens being one of them. Attitudes and things like that, right? I'm not saying that they're not good ball players, but Mike Tomlin is not a good enough coach to handle those types of situations. Clearly, he is not because we saw what happened with Le'Veon Bell. We saw what happened with Antonio Brown. We saw what happened with Troy Polamalu. We saw what happened with Debo.
Ben.
We saw what happened with all these players, right? You can't tell me that Troy didn't have at least 1 or 2 more years left in him.
That's the one I'm going to disagree. That is quite literally the only thing in this entire discussion that I'm going to disagree with you on is Troy. I really think after his injury, he was done.
Okay, but 80% Troy is still better.
Mm.
No,
I'm
I'm just
talking
saying.
50% Troy. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
I don't
Like
think
that.
he was
This
that
was a.
bad. I don't. I've
Oh,
listened.
okay.
I've listened to him talk. I've heard him say some things. I don't think he was that bad. He felt that he had another year or two left in him.
Hmm.
Okay, if he's saying that, I'm gonna believe him.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
Right?
definitely fair.
That's fair.
I mean,
That's why.
athletes always think that they can do the impossible, right?
Right. But like, I'll give you a perfect example. Rod Woodson, one of my
Hmm.
all-time favorite Pittsburgh Steeler. I don't care that he went to the 49ers. I don't care that he went to the Raiders. I don't care that he
Nah.
went to Baltimore. He did get his trophy. So and he's worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. He's one of my all-time favorite Steelers, right?
Mhm.
But he was one of those types of guy. He played for almost 20 years.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Okay.
At his
When they
position.
when they brought him into Baltimore, he was a shell of his former self. He was only capable of playing about 70% of real Rod Woodson, right?
Mhm.
But what did Baltimore do? They brought him in there and made him a mentor for that team. What do you think Troy Polamalu could have done for his last year or two in Pittsburgh? Been a
That's a good
mentor, been
point.
another coach, been another guy out there, right? Another
Mhm.
resource. That's why I'm disappointed. They could have kept him in there. He didn't have to pay him all that money. You know what I mean? He would have stayed for cheaper money, whatever, whatever. What did they do to Debo? James Harrison, you can't tell me that
Replaced
James
him.
Harrison, you can't tell me that you can replace James Harrison because you can't. That
No.
guy still could suit up, right?
He'd be good for a player too, you know.
Okay, right? He's approaching 50 years old now, right? Or something crazy
He's got
like
that
that.
that Mel Blunt factor to him. You know what I'm saying? Just put him back in. He'll play.
Right. Okay, okay. But you get what I'm saying, right? So that now you got guys in there like TJ Watt, generational type player, but you
Hmm.
have utterly wasted his entire career by not even getting to a playoff game. Not one. He has played his entire career and not made the playoffs not once. Even his
Well, not won
brother.
a playoff game. Not won a playoff game.
Yeah, not one of even his brother.
Yeah, didn't
What?
Bill O'Brien win a playoff game or something like that?
One. But
Oh man.
still one. I mean, his brother can say, "Yeah, you might have more sacks than me, but I won a playoff game."
I know what it's like to advance in the postseason. Like that's
Oh,
that's
that's
a
a
pretty
hard dig.
brutal.
That's a
Counter
hard dig.
argument.
Right, right. Look, we are like the reason why we are like this is because we want to see this team succeed. We want to see this team win. We want to be there at the end with the likes of the Kansas Cities and the whatever. We want to be in the conversation for the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh has 6 trophies. 6. I,
I'm
I,
very tired of the narrative that forms from this. The Steeler fans, oh yeah, well you guys have a winning record every year. Like it's from Jets fans and the like that are like, well, I'd kill to have a 500 record every year.
no,
It's
you
like,
wouldn't.
yeah, but we're well, it's better for them. It's better than going 3-14 every year like they do. But it's at the same time, it's like, yeah, but there's a ceiling on that. Like, I don't know.
What was the last number one overall draft pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Was it Terry?
Terry Bradshaw. That's the last time Pittsburgh has had a number one overall pick.
Yeah,
Now,
long time.
what does that tell you about this franchise? The fact that they had to go way back to Terry Bradshaw for a number one overall pick in the draft, right?
Mm.
That tells you that Pittsburgh is pretty winning franchise, right? There,
Yeah,
how many number one overall picks has Cleveland had? Just
a
in the
lot.
last 10 years, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You get what I'm trying you get what I'm getting at here? This is one of those franchises that's one of those storied franchises that has a winning percentage no matter how old they are, no matter how long they played. But I got to be honest with you. As a fan, I'm expecting more. As an
Mm-hmm.
analyst, right? As an analyst, I look at this game through the eyes of an analyst and I see shortcoming here, shortcoming there, shortcoming here, shortcoming there, shortcoming here, shortcoming there. Great. We see that every time we watch tape. Okay, cool. Saw it for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. We're at week 14. I'm still seeing it. We're at year 15 for Mike Tomlin, or 16 or whatever we are, 17, and I'm still seeing it. I'm still seeing weakness here, weakness here, weakness here. And then they're the same. They're always the same. They never change, right?
No adjustment, no changes, and it's always kind of exploited, especially in the biggest game. Because the biggest games of the year, especially playoff games, like they're about adjustments. It's not like they're going into go ahead, go ahead.
In-game adjustments.
Yes, in-game adjustments where you see what the opponent's doing and change what you're doing as a response to it. It's funny how that works. But there's just this, that Jaguars game. Do you remember the Jaguars game from like a year or two ago where they came out in cover 2 and they pretty much, the Jags figured it out immediately. And the Steelers were like, we don't care. We're going to keep staying in cover 2. And then they just beat us the whole game with no problem. You can't be stubborn about your freaking game plan to that degree. Like there's a difference between like staying committed to the run game and like waiting for the defense to finally break and just doing what is blatantly not working and never adjusting on the fly about it. It's so bad. It's so bad, and it's over and over. And that's why you see that there are a lot of fans of other teams that come to Tomlin's defense, but basically nobody in Pittsburgh does. And it's because like I've seen people make that as some kind of mark against Steeler fans. And I kind of reply to those people and I say, correct. The people that watch the team every week are tired of him, and the people that don't watch the team and don't know what's going on and don't pay attention, those are the people that think he's a good coach.
Man, Gage, I couldn't have put that any better. Because when you're on the outside looking in and you see this guy, he's been with the team for 17 years, he's never had a losing record, quote unquote, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
the whole 9 yards, and everybody runs with that. And that's a great narrative, okay? But how many Lombardis have you put in the case? How many Super Bowls have you been to? How many playoff wins do you have? How many division titles do you have? How many championship games have you been to? Really? 0?
To
In
me,
Cleveland, you don't even In Cleveland, you can lose all 16 games and get fired, right? But in Pittsburgh, you can play for 15 years and be 8-8 and not have a playoff win in 10 and still have your job. How does that work?
If he was the coach of a bunch of other franchises, I don't think he would have lasted nearly this long. I think a lot of people wanted to pull the trigger with the Blake Bortles Jaguars game, and that one's pretty rough. When Blake Bortles carves up your defense like a Thanksgiving turkey, that is a pretty bad sign. But the fact that, well, honestly, the fact that Tim Tebow can carve up your defense, I will never let it go, dude. That game sticks in my craw 15 years later. I hate that game
Yeah.
so much. That guy with the worst throwing motion in NFL
Yeah,
history carved your
I'm with you.
defense up for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kill
And
me.
one was an 80-yard bomb.
It knocked us out of the playoffs.
Way to go, guys! Woo! Okay. Yeah. See,
And that
I
was-
feel like that. I feel like that when I watch this team. Right? It almost feels like work now to watch this team on tape. It is.
At times, yeah.
It's work because you have to suffer through this wretchedness. The fact that it's the same thing over and over every week. I have a prediction. You ready?
What's the prediction?
Pittsburgh won't win another game the rest of the year.
Yeah, you're doubling down.
And the last 2 games, they're going to wait till the last 2 games to play Will Howard. Because they're going to think that they're in it until the very last second, right? And then they'll play Will Howard when they're not in it, when they get mathematically eliminated. If they lose this game to Baltimore this week, bye-bye. You're done. You're out.
I'm going to pull up the schedule real quick because I can almost certainly predict how the rest of this year will go. I just need to pull it up. Okay,
We
so
got the
Ravens.
Saints,
oh,
right?
what?
We got the Saints. Do we got the Saints?
No, we got the Ravens coming up.
No. But we got the Ravens twice, right? And we got a Cleveland in there, don't we?
Yeah, so it's I'll read it to you in order. It's
Okay.
Ravens, Dolphins, Lions, Browns, Ravens again.
Oh man.
So
I see
what
one
is our
win
record?
in that.
We're 6-6, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I see
So
one win in that batch.
We're gonna lose to the Ravens and be 6-7. We're gonna beat the Dolphins and go 7-7. We're gonna lose to the Lions and be 7-8.
7-8.
We're gonna beat the Brownies and be 8-8, and we are going to beat the Ravens backups probably and go 9-8. Have a winning record again. Tomlin keeps his streak. I don't know. I doubt we make the playoffs, but like there you go. Tomlin keeps his streak intact, and then then the narrative all off season is, wow, he did a great job getting them to 500 again, and it's just going to be more head bashing against the metaphorical brick wall. That's my prediction. Let's see. I want to see if that exact like lineup of games of prediction comes true or not. I can't wait to see.
You know, that almost sounds like that's what's gonna happen, right?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I think I only see one win in that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Against Cleveland.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only win I see in there. Detroit
You think
is
we lose to the Dolphins?
Detroit's on their way up. So that's definitely a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Baltimore is now finding their stride at this time of the year, and they're starting to put games together now. You know what I mean? And if they take us, that puts them now into first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right? By what, a game and a half?
Something like that. Yeah.
We're not going to be able to come back from that because we only have the Ravens again and Cleveland. Right? And I don't think we're going to be able to beat the Ravens twice. I don't even, you know what I mean? We're going to be able to maybe beat Cleveland. That's it. That's why
They finally figured out how to beat us. They finally figured out Lamar finally figured out our defense. He struggled with us mightily for years.
Years,
he figured it out.
It's not hard, Lamar, really. All you have to do is tell your guys to run to the gaps and just throw it to the gaps. Hey, what do you know?
Just go like eight
Believe,
yard out route and it'll
you
work
know,
over and over again.
right? You don't even have to do 8, dude. You can do like 16 because guys are 20 yards off the ball, right? So just run out to 16, turn, and the ball will be right there, and you'll be wide open.
I really appreciate Vic Fangio and his defense. I give them a lot of credit for kind of doing the cover four thing, with, especially in Chicago, where he just had Chicago's defense be a
Yeah.
nightmare for years. I feel like, in a weird way, even though, again, schematically, they're not exactly the same. But what I'm saying is, I feel like Mike Tomlin, in a way, tries to do that bend but don't break, give up a little bit over and over again, but don't give up the big play thing. I feel like he tries to have the same kind of strategy, but just doesn't do it as well.
Well, this year Pittsburgh has over 25 plays that are over 20 yards.
Oh,
So
it's sensational.
as
How's
far
that
as I'm
rank?
concerned, that's fail.
Oh yeah,
Right? um if
that's brutal.
it is, man. How do you do that? When you have the defense that you have, the fact that you give up an average of 368 total yards of offense per game. The fact that you're giving up over 28 points to the opposition per game.
Gave up 250 yards on the ground last week.
Dude, you know what their average
250.
is? You know what their
What?
average is per game?
Hmm.
180. Come
That's just
on.
it's just the worst statistic I've just ever.
You give up
Oh
200
God.
yards on the air and 200 yards on the ground every week. What? You got a 100-yard receiver on the opposition and a 100-yard runner on the opposition and a quarterback that's got 300 yards.
Bottom
I
five
remember
defense
when
and bottom
Tomlin,
five offense.
right? I remember when you would come into Pittsburgh and you were going to play against Tomlin. Most offenses didn't do well in the beginning,
Mm-mm.
right? Because nobody knew what Tomlin cover 2 was. Well,
Mm.
after 17 years, guess what? They know what it is, Mike.
There's a reason Joe Flacco plays generational ball against our defense because he's seen the same exact thing for 20 years or whatever it is.
I mean, I know, no. Okay. All that being said, and all that other happiness and everything that we've done and said here, we want to see this team win. We want to see this team succeed. And we want to see another Lombardi before we pass on to the next lifetime, right? I think the things that need to happen in order for that to happen, you need to get rid of Mike Tomlin because his message is old and it's not getting through. He has no coaching tree. There's no coaches that are coming off from him that are going to other teams and becoming head coaches and taking them to Super Bowls or anything else like that, right? So he has no coaching tree. He's had, on average, a coordinator about every other year, defense and offense, right? Aside from when he had Dick LeBeau, right, which he inherited him. He didn't
Mm.
hire him. He inherited him, right?
And he never would have hired him.
Right, because he wants to do his defense, not Dick LeBeau's defense. Last time I checked, Dick LeBeau's in the Hall of Fame, and you're not. I'm
Mm.
gonna go with that guy. You, you need to get a guy in here who knows how to manage the clock. You need to get a guy in here who knows how to manage fourth down situations. Speaking of
Mm.
situations, you need to get a guy in here who knows how to play situational ball. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When it's fourth down and you're on your 20 and you got 1 yard to go and their defense is playing really, really well, kick the field goal. You've got one of the best kickers in the league.
Of all time.
Well, I wouldn't go all time yet.
Mm.
He's getting there.
He's pretty
Okay.
close.
He's Okay, Matt Barr, when he gets close to Matt Barr, then we'll talk. But he's getting there.
Fair.
He's getting there, right? He's not far off. But when you're consistently making 50-yard field goals or more, how do you not give this man a chance? It's fourth and whatever. You're on your 50. What? That's a 60-yard, 64-yard field goal,
And
right?
the thing is, he's stubborn to a fault. There are a lot of times where he will like it feels like he intentionally will call a play that's inappropriate for the sake. Okay, when Rodgers like took the special teams off the field or like pushed the punt team off and said, "No, we'll stop it, we're going for it," and then the play call they got on a 4th and 3 was like a delay or like a draw play or whatever to the left side, whatever it was. Right? Everybody knew as soon as that play was executed, it was going nowhere, and it
Right.
feels almost like a Mike Tomlin, like a malicious compliance, like a yeah, fine, we're gonna go for it, but like we're gonna do it, like we're gonna run a quarterback sneak effectively. Like just
Yeah, right.
you're
Like
killing
Aaron
me. You're
Rodgers.
just killing me.
Yeah.
That's what you get for like not doing what we want. I hate it. I hate it. I'm tired of it. Mike
Do you
Tomlin
hear that?
conservatism ball, like if you will, like the conservative play style of running 3 times and punting over and over again. Just doesn't. I'm not. There's nothing wrong with committing to the run game, but you have to be able to mix it up and like have other elements to your passing attack and your running attack and have trick plays or whatever have you to like mix it up. And like all the meanwhile, we run 3 times and try to kick the field goal from 58 yards back.
I'll give you an example. The game that Mason Rudolph started, there were designed rollouts
Mm-hmm.
and pitches and stuff. So the offense can do it.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them do it, but you can't do that with an old man back there who can't run, who can't do anything, and has to get rid of the ball so quick, right? You can't do that. But when you get a guy back there that's got a little bit of legs, a little bit of athleticism, and is 11 years younger, hey, look at that quarterback type
Offense
stuff.
opens up slightly. And
What do
if
you
only he
know?
couldn't throw it into triple coverage immediately as soon as he got under center. Oh man, Mason
Uh,
Rudolph, like I really thought that he had a he was a good example, I thought, for a while of getting 1% better every day. And then it feels like when he went to Tennessee and then came back that all of that progress just kind of went out the
went
window.
away. Yeah, right. I mean,
Man.
well, okay. So here's the deal, right? So you got Aaron Rodgers going to retire at the end of this year. I don't know how long Mason Rudolph is on the um, on the roster for. How long he signed for? I think he signed for 2 years.
I
And you
don't
got Will
remember.
Howard.
Will Howard.
Um, if you do the 8-8 again, or 9-8, or 500 season, you're going to be picking at 20th, right? And
Again.
and there's usually not generational type players available at pick number 20 in the first round. Usually, you kind of have to be in that top five. You know what I mean? To get
And
a
hope for the best, yeah.
on average,
Yeah,
on
well,
average, 78% of top five draft picks are successful.
okay.
But once you get past that top five, the percentage of successful goes yeah, like by almost half,
Mm,
right? So you get past pick number five, and the chances of you making the team drop down to like 40%,
mm,
right? Okay,
yeah.
so it's really weird. And it's not quite like that in hockey. The scale in hockey is a little bit longer, but once you get past the first round, then you drop off. A lot of times you'll get good players all the way through the first round, and then that's it, right? Football, you got a handful of guys, maybe 7 or 8 guys a year that are going to come out and be able to impact the NFL right away, right?
Mm,
And Pittsburgh has not been able to select a player from that pool in a very, 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 very long time. And if all you're doing is picking from the middle of the pack, then that's the kind of team you're going to put on the field, a middle of the pack team, because that's the kind of talent you're drafting.
Yeah. I always figured that they would trade up to get somebody that they really wanted. And I don't know if they have chosen not to, or if they've been able to find the people they wanted to find anyway at a quote unquote discount.
You don't have the capital to trade up. Pittsburgh does not have the capital to trade up. They don't have multiple number one picks. They don't have multiple second and third round picks and blah, 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 blah. They don't have a roster full of guys that you could very easily go, yeah, TJ Watt, take him. Yeah, we'll take a
Yeah,
number one
well,
pick for TJ Watt. No, but you get what I'm saying, right? So
yeah,
there's very few guys on the team aside from TJ Watt that other people would want.
yeah, yeah. They're the second
You
oldest roster in the whole league.
you got to have another team that's willing to take your trade. You know what I mean? In order for there to be a trade.
It's rough, man. And we're in a spot where we got an old roster, an old coaching staff, a small coaching staff, and I don't know about our real sense of direction. Who was it? I think it was Pro Football Talk where they were talking about how Mike Tomlin, where it's very much a year to year operation where okay, we're aiming for that 9 to 10 win spot, and then if we make the playoffs, great, and if we don't, then the sun will rise again. And I really don't like the the complacency.
That's a great
Do you
word.
remember? Do you remember a couple years ago when we were, what was it, like 3-7 or something like that? And there was the rumble in like the locker room that, do you want to be Tomlin's first losing season? It's like who gives a, I almost swore, but like who cares? Who on earth cares? And the fact that that was their sense of motivation was to get the 500. I think that says a lot. I really do. I think that says a lot.
It does. When you look at the other side of the coin, where when Coach Cower was coaching and the team was 5-7. And I've heard and read many stories about how this team got turned around because of what Coach Cower did. And
Mm.
every week they would go into the whiteboard and all the information was on the whiteboard about the schedule, the upcoming teams, the whole 9 yards, and everything else like
Yeah,
that, right?
erased it.
Right. And they went in that week against Chicago because that was the next game, and everything was erased off the board, and it just said Chicago, right? And I've heard Bill talk about this many times about what he said was the team needed a change in direction. The team needed to be held accountable. And the best way that I could hold them accountable was to make them look within themselves. So that's the first thing he did. He said, you need to grade yourself each game. You're going to grade yourself. And I want to see what your grade is. And you tell me and you show me. And then we'll talk about your grades and see how well you did when we look at film.
Yeah.
That was the one thing. That was the other one thing that he did. The second thing he did was he erased everything off the board and just put Chicago. We need to focus on this game, this team right now, here today. There is none of that focus with Mike Tomlin. There isn't.
Mm.
I've heard a couple stories about him doing some cool things and some cut ups about teaching guys some things, but not enough. One or two stories, that's not enough to cover 17 years of coaching, right? You hear constantly about how Coward did this and Coward did that to turn the team around, to motivate the team and blah 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 and everything else like that, and the messages that he would send through the media. Mike Tomlin gets up there and his press conferences sound exactly the same and have
I stopped
sounded
listening.
and have sounded the same for years. We got a great group here and we're going to fight and we're going to take care of business in our house and blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, well, you didn't fight because you lost. You're not taking care of business because you got all this stuff swirling around your locker room, all these players that don't want to be there, whatever, whatever. This is in the past, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you tell me how you're taking care of things, Mike. You're not. Let me ask you this. My last question, Gage. If you had that kind of performance at your job, would you still have your job?
I don't think so. But like being able to do just enough. But who knows? I mean, listen, like I don't if we want to leave off on last thoughts and whatnot, that I don't want this to seem like it's an absolute condemnation of everything Mike Tomlin is as a coach. Because I mean, again, being able to keep your team, let's say metaphorically, above water every year is very that's good. That's good. There's a lot of teams that do bottom out and go 2-15, and he never falls. He always finds a way to keep them going, or at least
Commendable.
barely chugging over the finish line, so to
Yep.
speak.
That's commendable. Yeah.
So I give him that, and yeah, from all accounts, he's a great guy, and and easy to get along with, and everybody likes him, and he gets along with players and whatnot. But I just after so long, after so terribly long of the same soup just reheated, I just think it's time for a change up, maybe for everybody. Do you think Mike Tomlin would be a decent coach, like for the Miami Dolphins, get them stabilized, or like the Giants or something like that? These all seem like it would kind of benefit both sides, but who knows?
I'm gonna, like I said at the very beginning, I'm giving credit to credit's due. Okay. I think he could potentially be a Hall of Fame coach, like if he stops coaching right now.
Oh,
Right.
he would waltz straight to camp.
If he stopped coaching right now, he would have a seat in Canton. Okay. And coaches are hard to put in the Hall of Fame. Right.
Mm.
They coaches are not, they don't pick coaches willy-nilly to go into the Hall of Fame. Right. I mean, there's some really great coaches that probably should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't.
Can I ask you a question actually?
Ask me
Along that
anything.
along that line is that like okay, so Mike Tomlin has had well, again not 8 and 8. I think his win percentage is like 0.6 something. So we'll call it a 9 and 8, 10 and 7 kind of a thing.
His win
And
percentage
he
is 0.69 or 649.
okay, yeah, no, I mean, take that for what you will. But Jeff Fisher was quite literally 1 yard away from winning the Super Bowl. And do you
Right.
think he would essentially have the same legacy as Tomlin had that 1 yard happened, and he would have his one Super Bowl ring and 20 years of 500 coaching?
See, Jeff Fisher came from the same era that Bill Cowher did. And
He
they
did.
both played for the Browns at one point, I think.
Oof, tough scene.
Right. I don't think Jeff Fisher would have been. I no. To answer your question, no.
No.
I don't think even if he would have won that Super Bowl, I think it would have gone to his head. And no, but I mean, he would have been that one coach that would have made bank because he went to the Super Bowl and then wouldn't been able to put it all together again
Yeah,
for the next couple of years. You know what I mean? Because let's face it, Tennessee had that one good run,
that's true.
and then that was it. They had Eddie George and Warren Moon, and after that, that was it. There was nothing, right?
Then the big old flame out.
Okay, right. And what happened? He ended up getting fired, and the whole 9 yards, right? So, no, I don't think if he would have won that, I think I don't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put him in the same vein. I wouldn't put him in the same vein.
Hmm.
But it's
Yeah, it was
kind of
just
funny
something I
that
was
you
thinking
brought
about.
that up because it's very similar. If you look at the records, right, the number of wins, the number of losses, blah blah blah. Now Fisher didn't coach nearly as long,
Yeah,
right?
true.
But if you pace it out, right, it would be very similar to what Tomlin has, minus the Super Bowl, right?
it's it's very funny to me like that it's very much the kind of like five I've heard people make that joke. I think it might have been Set the Edge, where he's like, once the Rams were taken out of Jeff Fisher's cold 8-8 hands. That really was the case, wasn't it? Because
It
then they got
was
McVay, this young whippersnapper, and all of a sudden they're winning games and winning divisional titles and getting to the
going to
Super Bowl.
Super Bowls, right?
Yeah,
Look,
he did get toyed with by Belichick, so
he
I
did.
gotta give Bill that credit.
I'm going to say this. I don't think that the next coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers is a head coach right now.
I hope not. I'm with you on that. I hope not.
Okay. Because if you looked at what they did with when they hired Chuck Noll,
Mhm.
Chuck Noll wasn't a head coach. He was a
Up and
coordinator.
comer.
He
Yep.
was an up and comer. And what did he do? He came in and took over. Bill Cowher, same thing, up and comer, right? He
Mhm.
coached under Schottenheimer. Marty
Yeah.
Schottenheimer was the one that gave him his first job as a special teams coach for the Browns,
Yeah.
right? But
Followed
he
him to what was it,
came,
Kansas City, I think, as the
yep,
DC.
yep. But he came from a coaching tree like Marty Schottenheimer. Everybody
Hmm.
respects Marty Schottenheimer. Everybody knows Marty Ball, right? We all
Hmm.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Mike Tomlin didn't have quite the same pedigree, although he was a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator, or I'm sorry, special teams coach, or cornerbacks coach
Oh
for
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Tampa Bay. He was the cornerbacks coach for Tampa Bay, and then
Right.
he was a defensive coordinator at Minnesota, and then we hired him as head coach.
Okay.
Okay. By the way, if you look at the year that Mike Tomlin was defensive coordinator at Minnesota, ooh, foreshadow, foreshadow, foreshadow.
Was it defense? Like 16, defense, something like
Yep,
that.
yep. Can you say foreshadow? I think
Just
so.
like what middle of the pack, slightly above middle of the pack, slightly above
And don't break.
500.
You know, and but don't break.
Ben Folk is fine. You could believe kind of like style. You have like the D line support that you got a guy like Strahan who can get to quarterbacks for 4 quarters. Like that's a style you have
You
to
gotta have
you have to
personnel.
make stops at some point.
You gotta have the personnel.
You end the whole game. That's the ending the whole game and breaking are the exact same thing.
Right, exactly. So now, I know this is
Okay.
last one, but
Oh, that's fine.
uh, if he were to be fired, or if he and the Steelers mutually agreed to walk away, yeah, quote unquote, who else do you think needs to go?
Question. I always hate saying good question when all my other questions suck. But I would say
Like, that's okay.
no, no. So as unpopular and as much argument for saying I think I like Arthur Smith enough to keep him around at least for a year or two and see what develops. And Tomlin's overseeing everything, and then you know we're going to run it here. Oh, we're going to throw it here, like that kind of thing. So I keep Arthur at least for the time being because getting that and both coordinators is a lot. So I keep Arthur, I would get rid of McTee, and I would get rid of Carl Lawson because has he this is me targeting, and I really mean that. Has he coordinated a successful defense in the NFL? Like he was in Cincinnati, I think, right? His defense good there. He was in Detroit, and I think his defense was good there. And I'm curious why we hired him. We've already seen what he can do. Because as a safeties coach, I've heard as a safety coach, really good help for making these other guys. As a DC, as a DC, what we're doing.
No, I agree 100%. 100%. I think this has I'm also thinking about maybe this is which might be as well too. One thing I see them bring in is I know there's a lot of other teams out there doing it, but unless you have an offensive minded coach, I think you need to have a guy that is able to put together schemes, like offensive schemes.
We need an excellent guy.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because we don't have that right now. We don't have that at all. Right. Okay. You need to have it. You gotta have that kind of thing, right? Okay. I personally think that the next coach is currently not a head coach. I'm hoping that's going to be the case. I'm hoping he's going to be a younger, 35, 39, something like that. I don't want a guy that's going to be wearing sweatpants on the sideline.
I don't mind the
Okay.
sweatpants on the sideline. There's time to be lackadaisical and a time to not be lackadaisical.
When you're in practice and you're there at practice and scrimmage and all that stuff, that's where it tracks. Okay. Seriously, I very, very old school. Very old school. Okay. I like to see like when you see the players come in for the game, right? Put your ass in nines. Ready not?
Yeah.
Why? Because that's good. You feel good. You play good.
Yeah.
That's your quote.
Yeah.
Your guys' system is always perfect.
Trump stole that quote out a while. He started talking about that to people.
Right. But it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So head coach that wears a tie, you know what I mean?
Oh, anybody's going to
no, I'm kidding.
Tom Landry.
I'm just kidding. That's my door. I was just kidding.
That's cool. Saving a performance seance or something.
No, I don't even wearing a tie or anything like that. But the sweatpants kind of throws me. But the head coach look like he's head coach.
Yeah, that's
right? So maybe you get a different color shirt than everybody else. Maybe your pants are a different color. They still say Steelers on them. Or maybe I don't know. Just crazy, all right? I'm just crazy. I'm
no, listen, maybe we should go get like Jeff Monk and have him be our head coach or like that. Just like
the point there is that you need a little bit of Tom. You need a little bit of Bill Cowher. You need a little bit of Belichick. You need a little bit of Sean McVay. You need a little bit of Ryan. You need a little bit of, you need to have all those kind of guys kind of stir together in one big soup to make a coach.
Best I can do is promoting Arthur Smith to head coach.
We saw how that worked. Okay. He tried that in Atlanta, and that didn't work out too good.
7 and
Okay.
10, 3 years in a row.
Like I said, if you want 7 and 10 for 3 years in a row, by all means, just keep Mike Tomlin. Why bother?
Seems like it's where it's headed.
If y'all want mediocre ball, just keep the team you got, and it's gonna continue on and continue on. But if you don't,
The only,
then you're gonna have to make a change.
the only thing I can say is that, like, honestly, just keep it up. Like, I loved the chants. I loved everything that happened at the game. I love that they tried to drown the fans out with Renegade, and they just replied with booing and chanting to fire Tomlin louder. Honestly, that's the way to instill change, guys. Like, they don't.
Stop
They
going to the games.
do
That'll
one of the two.
change.
Either don't go to the
That'll
games, or if you're going to go to the games, just make the chanting so loud
make
they
it
can't ignore
horrible
it.
for them. Yeah, right. Make it horrible for them. Like they don't want to play there anymore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is a home stadium, but
No,
wow, they're no. You, see, here's the thing, right? Us Yinzers got a lot of smarts when it comes to this team. Okay. Seriously, you cannot pull the wool over a Yinzer's eyes when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't because we're too knowledgeable. We know too much about this game. We know too much about this sport. We know too much about this team. If you don't show up at the games, and unfortunately, if you don't buy the stuff, as I'm just as guilty, then maybe that'll send a message because clearly the message isn't being sent. It isn't, right? Because if it was, he would have been gone a long time ago. Don't you think?
I think so too. I think that there was a real turning of the or a changing of the guard when the Jacksonville game happened, and he stayed around after that.
That was like he he was at the last year of his contract, right? And he was going into the off season. Either he was going to be re-signed, right, or this was going to be his last year,
Yeah.
right? And they waited till the last minute and re-signed him. But you notice how he's only getting 1 year deals now.
He got like
Or
a
was this
3 year
last
deal,
one was a
right?
2 year deal? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so it's up in 2027.
Oh yeah.
Kill me.
2 more years of this stuff.
And
You're
and
killing
like
me, Art. You're killing me.
they saw that disaster in the playoffs and were like, we want more. We want more. Keep
Yeah.
keep this up, you know.
Yeah, please give me a smart, please. All right. Let's end this. I think we should probably end this. Maybe. What do you think?
Yeah,
We've
probably.
we've we've gone on long enough. Do you feel like this is therapy for us?
I have no idea, but it is good to vent.
It
It is
is,
good to
right?
vent.
It feels like good therapy, right? So that's what we used to do on the 5 Star Radio show. Was that was what our
Yeah.
therapy session was, right? We would
What
just
the
get up
heck,
and just be like,
Steve?
"Yeah, right. Hey, what are you doing?" Well, if the team would win a game, maybe. Woo! Yeah, that's right. We're week 14 and we've only had 6 5 star matchup shows this year. 6.
That's a tough scene right there.
That is a tough scene. We got to find a way to fix that. I don't know. All right.
We tried to do some lost content, but that didn't go over so well.
No. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, we got this show anyway, so we're gonna keep doing it until anyway. Yeah, till the bitter end, right? So, Gage, why don't you tell us where we can find all your great Yu-Gi-Oh and MMA stuff, my man?
You can find me. You can find my Yu-Gi-Oh content at Gage Ryan Video. You can find my MMA content at Contender MMA. I have another video in the pipeline for that. Finally, it's been a couple months, and my head's been in a million places. So I finally have another video going up in like another day or two for there.
There you go.
And if you want to see our podcast, you can find it at the channel that you're currently on. If you want to find myself, I almost said Steele. You can find myself, Ron,
Well, you
Steve,
could
Frank,
say,
and the rest of the Yeah, either way.
I still go by
You can
that.
find us all with all of our Steeler content you can't find on this channel at Five Star Matchup.
For sure, for sure. You can follow this show too. Go to the YouTube channel, check that out for sure, for sure. Please smash that like and subscribe button because it helps us out. And it also gets you notified when the next episode's out there. So please hit that like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. I am Ron Mont, your co host, and you can find all the great stuff at RNJ Media at RNJ_media on X. And you can check out the website, rnjmediasports.com. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This is the Huddle with Week 14, the Baltimore Ravens, and, well, a lot about Mike Tomlin. So, okay. We'll catch you on the next one.